Good evening and welcome to the Selectboard Board of Health Service Commissioners meeting of November 13, 2024. It's now 6 p.m. This meeting will be held in a hybrid fashion with the opportunity for both in-person attendance and remote participation. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in any specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. The meeting will be held in person in the main meeting room of the Deerfield Municipal Offices in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A. Anyone intending to record the meeting must identify themselves to the clerk, Blake Gilmore, and provide their name and address for the record. I'll call the meeting to order. And before we go into the public comment phase, I'd just like to ask everyone to observe a moment of silence for Mary Stakarsky and reflect on her service to the community. Thank you for that. At this point, if there's anybody who wishes to make a public comment about anything that's on the agenda, please, either online or in person, please raise your hand. Seeing no one who's interested in making a comment, I would...
Come on up.
Welcome, Peter.
How are you? Welcome back.
Thank you.
Pete Lankowski, Stage Road, South Deerfield. With winter coming, and we all know what happens, it is going to come. We're going to have some snow, sooner or later. Now, have we, since Mr. Scarborough has gone, are we in the process of getting someone to replace him? I know it's been probably 4 months or so.
That's something that I'm going to talk about later in the meeting.
Oh, well, I can wait.
Yeah, definitely.
No.
And we haven't, but we...
Oh, I understand that. Chris is doing a good job. But, you know, we're always short-handed in the winter, so I was just curious if we're going to have more hands on deck, that's all.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else?
I just want to remind people, please speak into the microphone. I've got a cold, my head's blocked, and I can't hear.
That's Denise.
Sorry,
Mason
Peter.
from Lower Road, who's reminding us to speak into the microphone.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Can you hear me now? Thank you. All right. So we will take up a hearing that's a change of manager hearing. We'd ask the representatives of Historic Deerfield to come up and identify yourselves. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having us. I'm Laura Smorowski. I'm the Vice President for Finance and Administration at Historic Deerfield.
Hello, my name is Kyle Gutowski, and I am the interim innkeeper at the Deerfield Inn and Champneys Restaurant and Tavern.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So, Christopher, can you basically give us a quick overview of why you're here? Okay.
Well, we don't process very many of these, so I bet you guys could probably inform us better on the subject than we could. So,
Surely, happy to do so. We are here to request a change in manager, which is essentially the named person on the liquor license held by Historic Deerfield for the Deerfield Inn and Champneys Restaurant and Tavern. The former manager is no longer with the organization, and Kyle will be named going forward.
And then, so generally, the last few times we've done this, we really just like to know who's going to be the manager, and then ensure you have tips training and experience, we discussed that earlier. That you did, so.
Yes, I do. I brought my certifications with me, so I've been TIP certified for over 20 years. I have my manager level Serve Safe kitchen management as well. I have my CPR and first aid course and certification with me. I have an anti-discrimination class that I've taken, so I feel I'm very qualified. Thank you. I have an amazing staff who is also very well qualified. We ask our serving and bartending staff to be TIP certified as well. We have probably about a 95% compliance at the very moment, and actively looking to make that 100% compliance at the time. So our restaurant manager is in the process of making sure everyone has their TIP certification. Any other questions?
I know that the Deerfield Inn, historic Deerfield, always taken this very seriously and have a great partner for the town and keep people safe and still having a good time.
Our bartenders are lovely, and they do pour tests. I just want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable that our bartenders are safe and with what they are serving to the public as well.
I just want you to clear up one thing for me.
Yes, sir.
You said interim manager. Are you going to be the manager?
That is to be determined. Laura can answer more of that in a moment.
That position has not yet been posted for hire.
I have been the assistant innkeeper for the past 3 years, so I have been with the organization for 5 years. The restaurant manager for 2 was promoted to the assistant innkeeper for that position for 3 years. I work over 50 hours a week. I am there all the time, especially on those Friday, Saturday nights that are very busy. So I feel like I'm there quite often.
Thank you.
I would just say the only thing I would add is that you have the ABCC application in your packet, and that's a pretty extensive background check on them, so just to mention that.
Yeah, and we had the Cory
Yep.
report as well.
Yep.
So at this point, Christopher and or Greg, other than a motion to approve this, is there paperwork that you sign?
As far as I know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Typically, something to sign off on.
I would think there is, but I didn't.
We will find that.
It's at the,
Do you want a motion to close the hearing? And then we can.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing. Unless there's any questions from the public? No?
All right, I'll second.
maybe at the bottom.
Any further discussion?
It's
All those in favor of closing the hearing?
Tony McDaniel, aye.
Wait, Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchi, aye.
I make a motion to approve the manager change.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Tony McDaniel, aye.
Wait, Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchi, aye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate all you do for the community. Find whatever we need to sign.
Yeah, it's unclear on this application, yeah. Yep.
All right, so the next up is select board reports.
I could just give a quick update on, we had a meeting of the South County Board of Oversight for Senior Center today, just looking at, that was a progress meeting of the feasibility study, looking at 2 specific areas. We have a feasibility study to see where and what the needs are for a senior center, where could it be put based on the availability of properties we currently have. One entity in Sunderland was removed from the study just because of the distance to the community and where people couldn't get anybody to really want to travel that far towards Amherst to go to it. So we're looking at property in Whately, the Whately Town Hall, current Whately Town Hall, and a property in Deerfield. We first looked at the church and then kind of transitioned once the 1888 building was moving forward to look at this space. And so we had a meeting today to look at what those sketches look like. Parking is always difficult. And then looking at the needs. So we're just kind of in the middle of kind of still looking at what are the needs, and then what can the communities afford will be kind of down the road. I think the feasibility is kind of saying, what do the three communities need? What kind of square footage do they need? What kind of space will fulfill the programs now into the future? And then once that is complete, we'll have to look at can we fit. There'll be some schematics of what it would look like, either at 15,000 square feet or at 10 or somewhere in between at these two locations. And we can then start moving forward on searching for grants. What is the appetite from the town? It's been a long haul for the seniors. They've been broken up in multiple different places and really need a home. And we need a lot of advocacy and work to try and find funding to make something happen in the future. But we're just want to report that we had an initial, progress meeting today, and we'll have more information later.
Thank you.
Also, just we started negotiations for the teachers' contracts. If you guys will talk about what you're working on, but we had an initial ground rules meeting a couple weeks ago, and the one will keep coming up this week or next week. So yeah, getting all that started. So
Yeah, we did the same thing with the police department this afternoon, with Chris and I. So again, good first meeting. We're going to meet again in another week. So.
Okay, so the third deal on this is we will be working on the DPW contracts, which are also the same situation. You have to figure out with Christopher Gunn's assistance who's going to be representing which sides of the. I will be the select board member for that discussion. I also wanted to announce to save people from having to come out during the holiday seasons. We realigned the select board schedule for the next 2 months so that we won't butt up against Thanksgiving or Christmas and New Year's. So you can basically check the calendars, but in December, for instance, we will be meeting on the 4th and the 18th. So everybody be ready to the 10th. Be relaxed and enjoy the holidays. We got some preliminary to the contract discussion. We met with Chris Bouchard, who's the head of the state's Chapter 90 paving department, and he's a former DPW chief in various communities, to ask him for recommendations about whether the DPW is focused on the right tasks and what, if any, adjustments we should be making. He's given us some preliminary information, which was just turned over to Christopher Dunn and Greg Snyder this morning. We'll be looking at that. We will also be discussing what needs to be done to fill out a job description and post for applicants to fill the position. So hopefully in the next month we'll have clarity on when that process will begin. We are also in the final stages of doing town administrator interviews. We will be interviewing the finalists identified by the screening committee on Thursday, and hopefully we'll have and the candidate rise to the top and be able to begin negotiations to hire that person. And even though it's a Board of Health thing, I was mentioned, the Valley Health Regional Collaborative, which we are part of with Greenfield and several other towns, has filled a position for a health inspector. So in the instance where our newly hired health inspector needs to be away for vacation or training or whatever, we can call on that resource if necessary to help us out with restaurant inspections, et cetera, Title 5, sewer inspections, septic system inspections, and so forth. And I think that's it. Anything else for me? Next up is the draft of minutes. So, Trevor, you're going to...
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve the May 8th, 2024 Select Board minutes.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilton, aye.
I'll make a motion to approve the June 5th, 2024 Select Board minutes.
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilton, aye.
I'll make a motion to approve the June 8th, 2024 Select Board minutes.
Second.
All those, any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilton, aye.
I'll make a motion to approve the June 12th, 2024 Select Board minutes.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilton, aye.
Make a motion to approve the June 26th, 2024 Select Board minutes.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
June-
Tim Hilton, aye. You know what that means.
I'll make a motion to approve the July 10th, 2024 Select Board minutes.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilton, aye.
And finally, I make a motion to approve the July 24th, 2024 Select Board minutes.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilton, aye.
I'd like to extend a thank you very much to everyone who put that together. You know, Pat did a bunch, and I'm sure others worked on that, so very, very thankful for that. Good to get product.
Yeah, and it's good to review what you've done.
Yeah.
All right. So next up, we're going to put a hold on reviewing a grant agreement with the CPC regarding the AT&T building, just so I think there's another document that needs to be prepared. So Chris can speak to that.
Yeah, I'll just mention real quick. So the CPC itself is meeting tonight. I sent a copy that's slightly revised over to Kathy Sylvester this morning. So they're going to take a look at it. If they have any questions, they'll come back to us. If they're ready to sign, they can just send us a copy to countersign next week at our regular select board meeting.
In the CPC, I have been inadequate in getting together some information on our common. We're at the point where we either need to withdraw or ask for an extension, which I think we have until June 30th to do that. I need to meet with CPC, just happen to have a meeting tonight. But we really, I really want to, so many people have put so many nights and time out of their schedule to come up with an idea and a plan to remodel the common. And we have been just hamstrung by DOT. And, first it was complete streets. We couldn't do it because part of the streets were owned by the state. And then, we want to just update the crosswalks and the pathways. And then, DOT, got to have all these extensions and, bigger bump outs. And that all looks nice, but it's not our road. And we don't have $500,000 or $1 million to do all of that work. We just want to upgrade the common, and we don't really want to put the paths on there until you know where the crosswalks are going to be. So it's been extremely frustrating process. So I still feel like we can do something, and that's why I'd like an extension or work over the next couple of months here to maybe, at least get some, just a safe pathway. And I think we really know where the crosswalks are going to go, and if DOT wants to upgrade them or if we eventually take over the streets, we'll do that later, but we need to move on some of it. And I know we've been tied up. The Leary Rock, we're working on the Elm Street, study as well, and I think between all of that, the other part is, you didn't really want to do it without kind of doing a complete downtown plan and not knowing what's happening with Cumbies, and people wanted to buy that. It's just, it's so centrally located that it affects everything, and you just need to spend good money after bad. So as frustrating as it has been, it makes sense not to waste money of the taxpayers and to do it right when it all pulls together. So we're still working on it. I have to talk with, we should get together and just talk about a plan going forward.
Yeah, and Kathy had mentioned that, so yeah, we'll find a time to discuss it and get back to her.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, with Chris's work on the ADA compliance and complete streets for Elm Street in that corner of North Main and Elm intersection.
Yeah,
Maybe that could be a time to at least do a partially,
yeah,
tie that all together. So
Yeah.
people can come and can at least get across the street.
safely, yep. Yep, I agree.
Okay. All right, next up is a couple of one-day liquor license requests for Yankee Candle.
Okay. So I'd make a motion to approve the one-day liquor license for Yankee Candle Village on Friday, November 15th, the annual tree lighting event. The tree lighting event will start at 5 p.m., will be open late until 8 p.m. Festivities will be outside in the courtyard.
Second.
All the paperwork is in order, so if there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchi, aye.
Next.
There's a second one, yeah.
For the same thing?
No,
Should be a separate.
it's on the backside.
Oh, here it is, yep, got it. So, make a motion to approve the Yankee Candle Village one-day liquor license for Thursday, December 5th, 2024, for the Girls' Night Out event, which is a good event every year, after-hour shopping event from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Yankee Candle Village, selling beer and wine in the Candle Emporium and the home store area.
Second.
Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchi, aye. All right. Next item is relating to the municipal vulnerability preparedness contracts that we were going to look at, but we're going to put that on hold just because MVP has asked us to consider some options. So, and next up is discussion of reviewing the Scans lieutenant position. I believe that Chief Sparks is here to talk about this.
Hi there. Hi there, Joshua Sparks, Chief of EMS at South County.
So please tell us what you're considering doing and why.
Recently, we've posted for 2 promotion to EMS lieutenant positions at our agency. This is to give broader supervisory coverage during the hours when I am not there, to hopefully get towards a place where we have 24-hour supervisory coverage. We've met with the Personnel Board, the South County Board of Oversight, to discuss these proposals. And one of the issues we ran into is how do we pay these positions. So I believe you have in your packets, you should have the job description themselves for the EMS lieutenant. And then the second part of that is a proposed amendment to the pay scale. If we could move to the job description first. This is pretty straightforward. It's an entry-level management position with limited supervisory ability. Part of this extraordinary group of folks have really gone out of their way to, during the period of interim leadership, to take on different responsibilities and divvy up those roles between them. But there was no long-term plan for compensation. So it's really important, of course, if people are going to do work, that they are compensated for that, and that it's actually built into their job description as being empowered to do that work. So this does follow the Deerfield format for job descriptions. Much of this is lifted right from the existing paramedic job description, so you'll see a lot of very similar language in there. The bigger section is under essential functions is really the big change. So I'm looking to, again, we've already met with the Personnel Board, who has had no issues and has recommended this.
And the Board of Oversight as well?
The Board of Oversight, yep. Yep.
Okay.
So I'm looking to finalize that here tonight. Would be outstanding.
And just, I assume this has been discussed, but you've looked at the finance impact of this and talked with the BOO and Board of Oversight.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. So I can speak to that very briefly. These two positions were budgeted for half of the year, for this fiscal year. I think we probably won't see these positions filled by the first 6 months of the year, so we're in a good place for it. Yeah. The second part of this is a proposed compensation plan. So this is a little different in that if you look at the existing townwide classification compensation plan, its grade E is paramedic, and that then jumps to grade F for the deputy chief of EMS. And it doesn't really leave any room for positions in between. Currently, South County EMS does not have a deputy chief position, nor is there an intention to hire. So where are we going to put these lieutenants? The idea that they are placed into a grade instead of a stipend is useful for retirement, pension, overtime, all of these things, right? I think it better compensates them versus a stipend. So the idea here is I've added an additional grade. What this effectively does is removes South County EMS from the townwide classification compensation plan and allows us to have a department-specific compensation plan. This came about after the changes to the Personnel Board and the personnel bylaws at the last town meeting. So this table that you see in front of you basically is the townwide class comp. The numbers are no different, with the exception of the not existent grade F, which I've included.
In parentheses, right?
The NA, right. So if you can just read along with this, the grades in parentheses are the existing class comp grades, and then next to it I've just relettered them for South County EMS, just for simplicity's sake. There's an EMS lieutenant position, there's an EMS captain, and a deputy chief of EMS position. Again, there's no deputy chief of EMS position currently. The EMS captain does not exist outside of my own mind right now. This is essentially a placeholder. There's no job description written. Again, no intention to fill, to post or fill any of these positions. There's some question about how we, I don't want this to sound gloomy, it's not meant to be at all. What is our department going to look like in 3, 5, 10 years down the road? So I really like the idea of, while we're going through and doing the heavy lifting of all of this and meeting with multiple committees, of putting those placeholders inserted in here. So this would effectively change, this would add EMS lieutenant to what is the current grade F. And then this would leave it to the South County EMS Board of Oversight and myself to propose to the various member towns at town meetings to be approved or not our own pay schedule compared to being lumped into the class comp.
Blake and I were involved in the Board of Oversight discussions about this, but Trevor, I'm anxious to hear what your opinion is.
I've always taken the position if the Board of Oversight has evaluated, we have a lot of heavy, representation on that board, and if the board feels that this is the right move for South County EMS, I always, give deference to the Board of Oversight and their leadership. You've been there a bit now and been able to see what you see, take the experience from where you've been, and if you feel, I'm always concerned with cost. It's always my thing. So if you're, but I'm also, in saying that, you also need to retain your staff, which is the heart of any organization, whether it be EMS or a business or a town. The staff is the most important thing, and they need to be compensated correctly, or else you're just chasing that empty position all the time. So I'm in favor. If you guys have evaluated and you guys are all on board, then I'm on.
Well, I think there was a question I should have asked the other night, and it was when we take you out of the town's compensation plan, how, is there any other way that affects you other than just as far as pay goes?
There's the potential for it, sure. With the changes to the personnel bylaws, any part of a specific department's personnel policies are up for review if needed. This was done, I know that Casey Warren, prior to leaving, had brought this on, and a big impetus for doing this was being able to recruit and retain different positions in the town. And if everybody was placed in, the idea of a classification compensation plan is that people do substantially equivalent work. And that makes a lot of sense, that we can put people into certain categories and we can distribute fair compensation among them. If you look at the existing class comp schedule, a paramedic is paid identical to the senior center director, to the recreation director, to the assistant town clerk. All of those are wonderfully important jobs, all with their unique requirements and panache, for sure. They're not substantially equivalent. Speaking just to our own EMTs and paramedics, they have a very demanding schedule. They work 24-hour shifts. They often go without sleep. Nothing against anybody. It's just a very unique situation. When you ask that, yes, it absolutely does. I have ideas not related to compensation, but related to the use of earned time because of illness. If somebody gets sick and has to miss one day of work, well, that's 24 hours of sick time used, right? So, there are some unique situations where we may want to look at additional items in our personnel rules, for sure.
8 hours.
For sure. Right now, we're just talking about really getting the lieutenants inserted into the pay scale. A couple of placeholder positions. We talked about this briefly. I don't really plan to hire captains and a deputy chief position. So really the idea is that in the future, it's probably going to very closely look like the townwide class comp, but it gives us some flexibility.
So, any further thoughts, Carol?
Just this class comp would get approved at annual town meeting, just like every other class compensation schedule, so.
That's correct.
And did you say you spoke with Brenda, our accountant, about it, and have you had any discussions with other towns' accountants?
I spoke with Brenda in passing about it. We haven't had any deep discussions about it. I did speak with the personnel board about this. and they gave it their recommendation.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, and obviously we'll have a motion on this in a minute, but the only thing I would suggest is that, we ask her to just take a close look at this and tease out, because the finance committee is going to want to know its answers too, is tease out, are there any hidden surprises in here? And we are only talking about 2 tenants, and what's the implication for the budget in the next budget discussions. So,
I know I'd almost, this is a first read for me, a first no for me. I wouldn't mind a week to think about it.
I was going to say the same.
Yeah. Table it. Yeah, we can bring this to either the next meeting or the first one in December. So,
but I'm glad I'm thinking about it, thinking about how to structure and how to compensate.
and I will say that the Board of Oversight, understands the logic behind, treating paramedics and people with life and death, emergency making and decision making in their hands to, have them in their own structure of,
In the trauma that they experience.
So, all right, so let's table this until the next meeting or the following one, the first one in December. But the idea is definitely sound. So I appreciate your bringing it to us.
And again, I just want to make sure there's clarity in everything that we're doing here, and that we don't run into a problem down the road because of what we did here tonight or in the next couple of minutes. I just want to make sure everybody's aware of it, so it's not, it's more housekeeping than anything else.
Yeah, for sure. Oversight is great. So,
Thank you.
all right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay, so the next item is South Deerfield Fire certified free cash. Do you want to just quickly speak to that? Quick start.
Yeah, so 'tis the time of year when we get free cash and excess and deficiency reporting from all the different, municipal entities that are out there. So this is just certification from South Deerfield Fire District, and the amount was roughly $130,000.
And then we have, are we doing all of them or just?
Sure, I'm happy to just go down the line. Yep. So from Franklin County Technical School, their excess and deficiency, which essentially equivalent of free cash, was $650,000. And then Greg, I think you had in front of you the.
Yeah, actually, you might. It came in at the last minute. Do you guys have it in there or no?
We might have
For Franklin Regional, is it the next page?
The Franklin,
No.
Frontier Region?
I mean Frontier is Franklin. Sorry, Frontier. Getting late. Yeah,
they're
yeah.
a little over the 5%.
Yeah, if you just announce that, it literally came in this afternoon. So
the amount is $720,452. It's in excess of 5% of the budget of $26,675.60. I don't have, a lot of times you can request that, but I don't have any issues knowing what they had done for us this budget by taking on all that debt from the track and just wiping all that out. They did a lot last year for the capital. We have a lot of capital to go at the parking lots. Still, we did a section of the roof. Got a lot of other capital to go there. So I'm not concerned that it's over a hat with all the help they've given the town that last budget.
So just for reading this, I don't see the 720.
Oh, very top of Frontier.
Okay.
It says
Okay, very good.
Yep,
That's
720.
good.
Yep, and then you've got the.
These reports are not terribly well organized.
Yeah. So that was the undesignated fund balance, and then you had some other items in there kind of totaled out.
Right, so I mean, is it the 651,000 we're talking about?
That's 651 is 5% of their operating budget.
Mhm.
So anything over that, the town could request, or a small portion would come to each community. Each town,
So
each
it's
town.
26,000.
Right, it's a little over what they would normally have, but knowing what they've done for us in the budget last year and all the things that they're working on and what they have to spend coming up, I'm not concerned at all about it.
And so what do we need to do tonight, Christopher? Just
You don't need to do anything. Just
acknowledge receipt?
Yep,
Yeah.
acknowledge receipt. It looks like, and the Franklin Tech is under, so that's fine. Yeah, okay.
Good. Okay, the next item is to we have a small amount of American Rescue Plan Act money left that has to be designated for specific use before the end of the year. Where is the Depot Road project that we approved? Is it still in the works, or is it?
As far as I know, it's still in the works. So on Friday, I had a standing meeting with our DPW, and Diane provided a couple invoices from that work. I haven't heard anything from the chief about it being concluded. I know the sort of related DEP consent decree work has been completed and is wrapped up, and DEP has signed off on that.
Do we know how much is left in our budget that we have to acknowledge?
My understanding is that there's 85,000. Well, if you take the Depot Road, and until it's actually expended,
Yeah.
we don't know how much the Depot Road project's going to cost. It could be
Right.
14,000 to be 16,000.
Yeah.
I was hoping that we could at least consider designating the remaining, whatever's left over after Depot Road, that we designated to the 1880 building project. There are a couple of small items that we're going to decide whether the town should do them before the project starts. One of which would be a geotech boring project that is approximately $30,000. And then a hazardous mitigation study review that could be approximately $8,000 to slightly up to $10,000, I believe. We were trying to figure out, and then it would just get a buffer in case. So this is a project we don't want to borrow money out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was thinking that too, that we put towards the 1888 building. The only thing I was thinking about was the library project and where that's at, and is there, are there things like furniture or things that we're going to be, I don't know where that budget is.
So I can speak to that a little bit.
Okay.
So there, at the moment, the project's been moving forward based on not using the additional $471,000 that we got from the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners after months of negotiation. So the Building Advisory Committee is looking at expending a portion of that money. There would be significant amount left over for FF&E.
Okay.
We haven't had any change orders that have resulted in a negative impact on the project, but I think and Denise is looking at me and saying, as far as I know, all the change orders have resulted in a credit to the project rather than anything against the project. So,
do we see anything coming up from those meetings? Like they're like, oh, electrical is way up.
you can come
Love
up
to
with
have it
that.
come up, please, if we can do those meetings as well.
I'm on that committee too. We don't have any change orders, but there is what is it called? The overhang, which is in question.
This is one of the things that, out of the 471,000, there was, the first alternate was, and essentially it's
a canopy.
Yeah, canopy, thank you.
So, and that's one we're exploring, putting back into the project.
Yeah.
That would be the first time we would use money from the 471,000.
Right.
FF&E was below 300,000 before, so the canopy was approximately
125,000.
Okay.
so, and I believe that the OPM Sullivan during discussion about, you know, the impact of adding that back in, because all the drawings were done and the metal is still exposed, so that decision should be made quickly, but.
I would highly recommend we do that. Any overhang is like.
Oh, yeah, no, we all agreed.
Yeah. I think the big concern is, you know, during COVID, the library was, you know, had to figure out how to, you know, dispense books. So we thought that would be perfect. Plus, if they want to have any kind of entertainment, they can use that as well. So we thought that that was really important to put back in.
Stage the cement walkway.
Yeah.
Walkway. It's such a huge.
Yeah,
danger.
so, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Great. So, yeah, in that case, I wasn't sure where all that, you know, the final stuff was, where it's going to be at. So I'm moving into the 1888 building too, because again, there will be stuff we have to deal with there.
So I'm going to make a motion to reserve the balance of the remaining ARPA funds after the Depot Road project is paid for, should be designated towards the 1888 building project.
Second that motion.
Any discussion?
Okay.
But it's money that's just there we can use for any.
We have to allocate it by the end of December, and it has to be allocated towards a project. So, yeah, so it's just a matter of, is there another project that's more, you know, needs to be done right away? It's been nice to be able to not have to go to taxpayers for a lot of different things we've done with that ARPA money that affected the majority of the residents. And this is kind of the last bit that's kind of left over. And we'll finish up Depot Road, and then whatever's left from that would go towards that. So
Approximately 70,000 or 69,000 that was left over. The other advantage of this is that we spend the ARPA money and we have a balance at the end of the 1888 building project. We can send it back to CPC, which is my hope. Right now, everything, the building advisory committee has 2 members from the community preservation committee. Under current thinking, we are going to be slightly under $7 million for construction. That's subject, of course, as we move forward in the design process, that number could change. But so it give us the best opportunity to return funds after we spend the federal grant and to return funds to the CPC. So that's another reason why I'm in favor of it.
yeah, makes sense. Advance it in the safest spot.
Be good. So motion's been made and seconded. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilchi, aye. Thank you. Hey, we don't have to talk about ARPA anymore. Okay, so next up, Christopher, can you just take us into this letter from our attorney?
Sure. So, board members may recall there was a complaint about a nuisance dog on 5 and 10 up closer to Old Deerfield. Since the original complaint back in the summer, the complainant has actually moved away. There was initially a hearing that was going to be scheduled for November 6th. Both parties agreed to delay that hearing until December, and since then it's been confirmed that the complainant is moved out of the immediate vicinity of the dog. So the lawyer for the gentleman who owns Theo, the dog, is requesting that we look at vacating the underlying order of the board as issued on June 27, 2024. I would just add that they've, in their correspondence, said they're doing what they can to, keep the noise levels down and make sure the dog is behaving.
We haven't seen any other complaints to the police department or anything else. I know the dog is still, just words. Tendency to bite is still under that order. Did our attorney kind of recommend, I think he just kind of said, maybe this is the weather, so we can either do nothing at all, just leave it. I know that they're challenging it in court, right? The order, so it's a matter of, do we want to just drop it and not deal with the issue of going to court and fighting it, or make some other revision to the order, or just terminate it. I think, we can always begin again if there's another issue, but I think we haven't had any other, I don't know, your
Well, my thinking is basically, that the dog's owner did what we asked, and you were putting up screening to try and work with the complainant. And now that the complainant's gone, and we haven't heard any new issues, we could save ourselves attorney's fees for not having our attorney have to go to Boston to do this hearing. Or, I think, Boston dog.
And I think our order was that the dog was in at certain times,
Right.
and not left out unattended to bark from 2 a.m. on. And I'm somewhat worried that will, will just begin again, but I can just trust that they understand how difficult it was for the resident, and hope that others don't have to deal with that too. I mean, I think their clients aware that there's been an issue, and hopefully addressing it as best they can. So I'm fine to.
I guess what we're looking for is whether we want to vacate that particular, it doesn't affect the dangerous dog designation,
Correct.
which we have no intention of removing. But that's.
Or modify it.
Yeah, modify it. And
I don't really have any way of modify it, really.
I think we did what was appropriate based on the evidence we had, and the fact that there was a complaint. Apparently I don't know if somebody's preoccupied at home, but if they have, nobody's complained.
All right, we've got no reports from animal
Sure.
control or from police department, nothing?
No, there's been no other incidents since then.
Okay.
There was only one
Right.
complaint at the time.
Yeah.
Not that there weren't others, they just hadn't responded.
So, I mean, I don't have a strong feeling about this, other than my stated opinion is that we can avoid continuation of legal fees that, and I don't think that Attorney Farminger mentioned that the court can say, well, if there's no complainant, then
Right.
there's no complaint.
I would make a motion to vacate the order at this time.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of vacating the order,
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Wakefield, aye.
Tim Hilton, aye. Thank you.
Thank you. You'll send a
All
letter,
right.
Matt.
All right, and next up is a discussion about the, what are we calling it? Decarbonization roadmap assistance. So I think the Energy Committee folks are here. We want to come up and just briefly discuss.
Welcome.
Thank you. My name's M.A. Sweetland. I'm on the Energy Committee with David.
David Gilbert Keith on the Energy Committee.
We have an opportunity to apply for a decarbonization roadmap assistance. The application has to be in November 29th, which is fairly soon. Allison Gage has said that she will draft it for us. All we need from you all is approval to apply. This is an opportunity to get grant assistance for something that several of our committees, Finance Committee and Capital Improvements Committee, have been talking about, which is long-range planning for a municipal facility condition assessment, which is what they will do. They'll come, they send the state DOER will send a technical assistant in who will walk through our municipal buildings and provide us with that assessment, and then we will, and they're going to, basically what they do is they're going to tell us, give us a schedule of of each building, when things will come due, we'll be able to do long-range planning rather than having an emergency, oh my gosh, we need to replace this immediately. They will, and so this is, the town doesn't have to write any grants. They don't have to write any grant reports. They don't have to manage any grant money. So there's not a burden on town employees for this. And the technical assistant will assist at the end. The Energy Committee will work with them, and we come up with a roadmap. The roadmap will talk about decarbonization goals for the town for 2030 and 2050. So we'll have all of that information on the buildings, which hopefully will assist the work that the Finance Committee and the Capital Improvements Committee, that information will be. And I'm sorry?
Town Building Advisory Committee also.
Yes, yeah.
They are interested in this information. What are the requirements?
The requirements?
What are they asking from us to do this? Are they requiring us to do something, set some sort of goal?
It's part of the climate leadership, but it's not an obligation. In other words, if we do this, it's one step if we end up trying to become a climate leader community. But if we don't, it doesn't matter. We still have all the benefits of this.
Okay.
And so I think the fact that it doesn't obligate us to anything is another important part of this whole thing. I think it's all beneficial, and as far as I can tell, no downside to it.
Okay. I just want to make sure it wasn't like making sure we had to do something.
Nope.
Do something.
No quid pro quo.
And one of the things that's particularly interesting in light of the South County Senior Center search study, it will give us an opportunity to get a good look at this existing building and, what is, I think we have a dual fuel boiler, a steam system here. A lot of these things are antiquated, and so give us a good opportunity to provide ancillary information if this building moves forward in that discussion, at least as an interim senior center location.
Yeah, I think it also, you aren't looking at one building at a time. You have a whole picture as a result of this. And so as you're planning, you can say, well, this is going to be coming up. It's a real help in prioritizing.
Well, and it would help even to replace the equipment that's there if you chose not to decarbonize, but you would know that boiler is going to be obsolete at this year, and that might be a good time to think of a better kind of heat, but you would know.
Okay.
And this would also encompass, I think, the DPW, with the fire department, South Deerfield Fire District building.
All municipal buildings are included. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it has to be 75% of your energy use, the buildings, your municipal use. So you can't just pick one building and just include that in it. I think they want
a broad.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I can see the 1888 building would be silly to put in, for instance.
Right.
And
It's going to get changed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's just the municipal buildings, you're not,
just municipal buildings.
would this be the start of another plan as far as coming up and doing a review of the homeowners and some of the other buildings in town, businesses and that sort of thing?
No, it's not connected at all. This is just municipal buildings.
And you were looking for a letter of support?
We are looking for just, if you would vote to approve us to apply for the grant, is all it would take would be that approval tonight. And then we'll get in touch with Allison.
What's the timeframe? I know you've got to get it in by,
29th.
but then what are they looking at, like a year from now?
I don't know, but it should be fairly soon.
Okay. They have it.
I know. I didn't ask that question of Chris Mason, but I could get that information for you if you wanted, but they may not know what the time frame is.
Sooner rather than later.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to support the grant application.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Floyd Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilton, aye.
Thank you so much. Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got various board committee applications to consider and recommendations for appointments. Do you want to just go through them for me, Christopher?
Sure. So we have Emily Bedell has applied to be a member of the Recreation Committee. I believe Emily works for Eagle Brook School, and she was certainly highly recommended by Sue Antonellis, the chair of that body.
Wonderful. I'm so grateful she stepped up to serve on that committee. Very smart and I know willing to help, and that's great. We'll really go to.
Yeah, and you all got the
Yes.
So,
Make a motion to approve Emily Bedell to the Recreation Department.
Second.
In discussion, I wasn't sure, it said there was somebody who was stepping down, I didn't know, I just wanted to thank them for their time, but I didn't know who that was that was stepping away.
and
It said committee member, but I'm not sure if that was,
Yeah, I didn't receive a. And hopefully we'll get a letter from them too.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank them. But yes, I'm all in favor of this.
okay, so the main motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Floyd Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilton, aye. Great, and thank Emily for her interest in serving.
Yes.
All right, and the next group is for the Deerfield Historical Commission.
Yeah, we've got two applications for that body, Annalee Wolfkey and also Lee Easton. Annalee is with us on Zoom tonight, so if we have questions for her, those can be directed that way. And then I believe in your packets, there's some additional information regarding both applicants.
Yeah, there's historical commission minutes where both of these members were proposed and approved for recommendation to the select board. And
So I make a motion to approve Emily Wolfpool and Lee Easton to the Deerfield Historical Committee.
Second.
any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Floyd Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilton, aye.
Thank you so much for willing to serve.
All right, and the next thing is, I believe, do we just have one resignation? Is it
Yes.
Police officer? Okay.
Oh, yes, for police. There's one other.
Right. And we actually have an additional one that came in late today.
Recommendation for resignation?
A resignation, yeah.
Take us through those.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so want me to handle personnel board and you can do the other ones, or? Well, I'll start with, so we had a resignation from a full-time police officer, James Fitzgerald. There should be a letter in your packet to review as well. And then Open Space Committee, Susan Half also informed us that she's going to need to step away from the committee at this time as well. And then lastly, it's not in your packets, but Cassie Jerome from our police department let us know that she's currently the elected by the other employees of the town as the employee representative on the personnel board. Unfortunately, she's not going to be able to continue in those duties as well. So those are the resignations.
Is she staying on as an employee?
Oh, yes, yeah. No, sorry, I didn't mean to give you a heart attack there. No, she just said, I can't make those meetings, so, yeah.
And I understand that when this process was moving forward, that there was one other candidate that was supported by so discuss that.
Yes, so there were two candidates for that role as employee representative, and the other one was Tim Drumgoole from SCEMS. I spoke with Tim this afternoon just to make sure he was still interested as the second place candidate, and he said he was. So I think if the board wants to appoint him to basically fill out the remainder of her term, I think that would be appropriate.
I would make a motion to appoint Tim Drumgoole to fill out the remainder of the term for that was the personnel committee, elected by the employees.
Yeah, as the employee representative, yep.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Elchey, aye.
That's great.
And I guess there is one other, right, open space committee resignation.
And I just wanted to thank,
Cassie?
I want to thank Cassie for sure for her time, and I'm glad she's sticking around. I also just wanted to thank James Fitzgerald for representing the town of Deerfield as police officer, and it looks like he's willing to remain on as a part-time, which is fantastic. Really hard to find a part-time police officer, so very, very pleased for that. That's it. And then there's a resignation from the
There's open space, Susan Half, who's helping revitalizing the open space committee. Is said that she can't
step away from it.
this, so
Okay.
I would make a motion to regretfully accept her resignation.
I'll second that motion.
Thank her for her service.
Yes. Yeah, they did a lot of great work this past year, so, yeah, so thank you.
So the motion is made and seconded. All those in favor?
Trevor McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Elchey, aye. I don't know if we ever rejected the resignation.
It's always asked. Always asked.
So we have not done the Tri-Town Cable Advisory Committee?
Well, I discussed that.
You put it off
Trying to come up with
next
a
week.
process so we can make sure we need to re-advertise. I know we have a couple of candidates that are maybe previous members.
Yes.
And I need to get 5 candidates.
I know we need to get moving.
Yeah,
but
I do.
We don't have much time, so
Yeah.
advertise, get it out there, and then
Yeah.
Can we do it in a week so we can get it done by the next meeting?
yeah,
While we do that?
we need to I know we need to get moving on it, because there is.
Yeah, I mean, at the latest, it needs to be December 4th, but.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't know, what's there's no real deadline, except we just need to get on it.
Yeah, I think come up with a plan to really negotiate, right? Or, if there is such a negotiation.
Is that set up as again, a tri-town?
It is a committee, I believe there's a Deerfield representative on the Tri-Town Cable Advisory Committee. I assume it's, yes, Wakely, Sunderland, Deerfield.
This was the Cable Advisory Committee, right?
Yeah. Have you done that?
I've done it, yeah. I mean, the Cable Advisory Committee it looks at things like, your cable build out, if you have any left. You look at things like your PEG access revenues, and you go into usually another 10-year contract.
Yeah.
And, it's good to have a representative from the town. I've only sat on it in another town, not as a part of a tri-town.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure what your representation looks like, but, I would say it's good to have someone in there and looking after, what your needs are as a town in terms of cable access. It can be, PEG access, it can be cable build out.
There are 2 questions I have. One is, you talked about appointing our cable advisory committee. Now, is that a multi-town one? I thought that was a Deerfield committee.
There may be two, right? There's
That sounds like it's possibly correct, but in this case, we're talking about the Tri-Town Cable Advisory Committee.
All right, so we need to just have one representative to that?
Yes.
Okay.
And really, when Chris Collins was here, like, PEG access was really on the chopping block. And before he passed, it was, really a mission of his. So whoever.
About this? Yeah,
So
probably
I'm
somewhere.
more inclined to try and appoint somebody at the next meeting
Mhm.
to be the Deerfield representative, and then I think we have our own committee. Is that right? I don't know.
What would interest me is to look, I'm new to the town, so is maybe you had a committee for your own town and discussed the issues that were pressing in your own town, and then had your rep, push one of your reps forward.
I was told that the Tri-Town committee had more clout or whatever it was when they were negotiating, and that's why they joined forces.
That would make sense.
Because they had a bigger population, and that sort of thing, so.
Yeah.
Jack was on that committee.
Leverage your power a little bit, yeah.
And as to our Cable Advisory Committee, all we have is a draft charge on the website. We don't have any members, as far as I can tell.
We
So,
haven't appointed anybody to this
Yeah.
ground. It's 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That it was enforced. So, just, I guess I would like clarity about, are we appointing one person to this Tri-Town committee? And if so, I'm happy to pick from the two people who applied for the town cable committee, and if one of them's got a lot of experience in this, I certainly have none.
Right.
So,
One of the things I would recommend is whoever you appoint, that they're aware of what's going on with MBI, because MBI sometimes is doing one thing and your negotiations are doing another, and they don't always mesh. And so you want to make sure that you're looking at both, whether it's happening on the state level and within your own negotiations, because I personally ran into that problem when I sat on the Cable Advisory Committee. So it's really important that they're up to speed on the MBI as well.
I had a ton of experience being frustrated with my kids, Bill.
That's another story. I mean, I can help out in that area, because I was immersed in that for a while. Yep.
So, just to recap, and we'll contact the two people that we know are volunteer for ours, and get a post out there, and then we'll ask them perhaps to come to the next meeting.
Yeah.
So, unless one of you two want to be on this, I've got enough on my plate.
I have enough too, but I do feel it's extremely important.
It is. I mean, Comcast is interesting.
and just so
So that's what we'll do, right?
that seems like a plan. Just to clarify, though, so I know one of the candidates for the Cable Advisory Committee. Do we have another one? We're willing to put the name out there right now.
It was Jack up at your.
Oh, okay, that's right. Yep. Okay. Yep. I'm happy to reach out to them.
Okay, so, do we have any letters of support? I don't think so, right?
Not at this time, though.
Tell us about this Comcast check.
Yeah, this is just PEG access revenue. So just, again, similar to the excess and deficiency and free cash, just wanted to notify the board that we received that figure, $22,435.96.
And does that go into its own account in for this
Yes.
account as well?
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
This,
Yeah, we received a request from FERCog to comment on a petition for discontinuance of a portion of Rice's Ferry Road. This is a portion that's essentially only a paper road. It's between River Road and the Connecticut River. So the portion that would have gone down to the ferry when it was there. We have another issue before council with this road, and so at this time I'm recommending that we do not issue any kind of opinion on the discontinuance.
That sounds reasonable to me. I know that it's always better to let the legal situations be resolved before. But anybody else have any thoughts on that? I just assume all of this.
No, Chris and I talked about that, and I agree with you on that one.
Okay. All right. So we won't do anything on that for invitation. So now over to you and Assistant Town Administrator for your reports.
Sure. So the headline is Leary Lot ribbon cutting this Friday. So it'll be held at 11 a.m. In the very parking lot that we're celebrating the opening of. We're going to have representatives from our state senator and state rep, from FHWA, a couple other federal agencies, as well as our OPM, MassDOT will be in attendance as well. So encourage everyone to come. There's only so many speaking slots, and I know our own Tim Hilchey will be speaking at the event, but it should be brief, and at 12 noon we'll open the parking lot for use. So the EV chargers are installed at this point and are going to be fully operational. So encourage everyone to attend. Oh, that's a good point. And I would, and Greg, thank you for reminding me. It was also brought up we might do kind of a second event in the spring, more promotional around the presence of the level 3 EV charger. Berkshire Design Group has also recommended potentially doing a utility cabinet painting. So that's kind of a fun community thing you can do. Obviously, we got to work with Eversource on that one, but as you can see in Amherst and Northampton, they occasionally let you do that. So,
Those big green boxes.
Yeah, paint them for the
outside.
exactly. Yep. So.
That's great. I would love to. I was thinking of a Saturday, and then I know it got moved, so and I can't be there on Friday, so thank you for attending.
Are they still doing like the checklist, or I think the entrances to both ends of the parking lot, have they been finished?
Yeah, I haven't been over there since Tuesday, which was yesterday. It feels like longer ago, but so it's striped, obviously paved, but yeah, I think there's still a little portion that needs to be finished up tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, basically all the lines are drawn. It looks like a real parking spot. Place.
Thank you to everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, and he will be in attendance, so we're going to get a chance to recognize him in person for all his work on that, which is stupendous.
Well,
And also, Chris helped us identify, Rivermore, who helped us get the CFI grant that paid for the whole project, with the exception of the ARPA money we had already designated for this. So again, it's a project that's almost 28 years in the making. I think that the town meeting in 1996 approved this project, purchasing the land for a parking lot, and lo and behold, 28 years later, it's happened.
Trevor, you got another 20 years before.
Let's talk about the other project that's taken over 20 years.
No, Trevor, I was just going to mention, though, that the spring, hopefully it will be more of a local celebration to get our, it was just very short notice on this one. So hopefully we'll get, businesses in there. And I'd also just put a plug in for this guy over here, because an incredibly complicated project with a lot of moving parts. And I don't know how he keeps it all organized in his brain, but he does, and he does a great job. So.
I will say with the departure of the person who had been spearheading it for 10 or 12 months, and then to have the actual execution of 2 months land on you, and so I'm really
very grateful.
Amazed and pleased that you did it with such a plan.
Well, happy to do it. Thank you. Yeah. And another item I just wanted to give the board an update on is Stillwater Bridge. So I'm going to be meeting with Lisa and MassDOT next week. So MassDOT finally, it's extremely technical engineering stuff, but they basically figured out how much ground underneath the river is Article 97. And so they now have an actual square footage to give us that the town would need to replace, basically. And initially, what it's looking like is something like only 4,000 square feet of land is in Article 97. So given what the Open Space and Rec Committee did with identifying some of those other parcels that are eligible for Article 97, I don't think we're going to have too challenging a time making that swap. So, but
As far as the takings and stuff, are we?
yep, and those are within the range that I think was discussed maybe back in the spring with the town. After the meeting on Tuesday, I'll have some updates for the board about what exactly those takings look like. They're all quite minor, though.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Excellent.
And I just wanted to, any other updates, the town projects the board was looking for updates on?
Not unless there's something monumental that happens.
Maybe just hitting on sidewalks a little bit. We, I know we did North Main, and a little bit from the Polish Club kind of area. And I wondered, was there any funds left over from that? And then should we start, we should start planning others. We have stuff in Old Deerfield. We have, we obviously have more here once this is done, but I didn't know if there were any other things we wanted to hit on and keep going.
Yeah, so unfortunately, there weren't funds left over from the North Main sidewalk project. Obviously, we've got an application out there for Complete Streets for Elm Street, so that would, take care of those sidewalks in conjunction with some ADA money we applied for there. In terms of the sidewalks around the campus, I think, and kind of that section of North Main, there's a couple potential ways we could approach that. One is if the senior housing project moves forward, there's what's called Housing Works money that's specifically slated for infrastructure around, the housing projects. So that's a possibility, but certainly that's going to have to be a focus because we've got essentially just sidewalk and then asphalt and really nothing to soak up any of the water that we have here. So yeah.
And we do have a couple of sections in Old Deerfield that are missing and trip hazards. It's where a lot of people walk as well too. So we should really kind of get a plan together for that.
Yeah, we started talking with Matt Sheehy and about and John Davis from Historic Deerfield about which sidewalks and could we do something like the DPW did, the removal.
Yeah.
So a shared expense. Those discussions need to be finalized.
My thought on that end of town, it would be nice to do something that was, this doesn't have to be, but I think of like hard keystone or some color so it looks like an old kind of dirt path, but it's, it's not just so like 2024, it kind of looks more dated. It just has a design element to that. Maybe it's not available, but.
Yeah, Historic Deerfield actually got an estimate for stamped colored asphalt, I think.
Yeah.
Very expensive, but not as expensive as cement. But we need to finalize the discussion and see what the shared expenses would be. Yeah. Because I think DA and Historic Deerfield expressed an interest in sharing costs.
That'd be great.
I think going forward, if we're looking at Old Deerfield, one possible way to look at it is to say, okay, what's the ownership of the street frontage? And so, entity X has 70% of the street frontage, entity Y has 10%, and the town has the remainder.
Yeah.
And cost sharing, because obviously it's a great tourist draw for Historic Deerfield. It's a safety issue, and as is Elm Street.
Yes, exactly.
Elm Street is a very big safety issue, and so.
I thought of like the chip sealing we do. We pave and then we chip seal, and we can chip seal with like a blonde colored, keystone or something like that. It might look a little nicer. But,
Yeah.
I don't know, just a thought.
No,
All right.
absolutely, we should organize, meetings and discuss it.
Yeah.
I was awaiting, some feedback from that, but.
Yeah, great.
We'll reach out to them again.
Sounds good. That's all I got. That's everything. Thank you for doing a great job. You guys are doing great.
All right. You got anything for us, Greg, or you all?
I
Send concert dates?
I'll be playing for the Tilton Library trustees, I believe.
Oh, nice.
Doing a little cello for them at some point, so.
And we're definitely going to get him for the spring Leary Lot event.
Yes.
You can always, I think there's a Joni Mitchell song that might fit the occasion really well.
Hey, Forrest.
Yeah, you know where I'm going, yeah.
All right, well, if there's no other business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor?
Did you want to talk to me? This is Valerie.
Oh, Valerie.
I got on late. I'm sorry, I got on late. I got on to 6:30, and you guys were already in full mode.
That's all right.
My fault.
Did you have any? Thank you. So I just give you a brief update. Ned started yesterday. He seems to be acclimated very well. We went over basic things, door, the key fob, he got one of those, where to park, how to do his timesheet, where things were, who the people were in town. We did a brief ride around, showing him the Stillwater properties. Yeah, so we had an issue, we had a question regarding the Stillwater properties regarding the contractors wearing Tyvek suits. So I did find out that the contractors were wearing Tyvek suits because of the smell and the filth of the place.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much cleaned up. I mean, they're still working there. I know that you had gone to the hearing.
I did. I attended court on, I think it was the 11th, no, it was the 4th or something, last Friday, and everything seems in order. They decided they're not, they're just looking to clean up the area. Originally, they were looking to, work on the properties, but I think until the errors are sorted out, I can't remember when I think it's December is the next meeting.
I think it's December 9th.
December 9th,
And,
yes.
Yeah, and I did write it on the calendar, and I let Ned know, so he may go to that.
That's great.
Rather than me, he can take over that.
Sure. I'll meet him there.
Yep, he's done quite a few housing complaints in Westfield when he was down there, and he's great with food. I let all the food vendors know that he's going to be taking over the food trucks, the people at Treehouse, etc. So he seems to be working out well. Of course, he only worked out one day, but he will be in on Friday afternoon because there's a tree lighting ceremony at Yankee Candle with a food truck there, so he'll be there. And he's going to also inspect Johnny Figs, which is only open at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
So because he'll be there in the afternoon, he'll do that as well.
Okay, good.
So, yeah, so that'll work out. He is in that conference in Springfield today and tomorrow, but the conference was supposed to be paid for by the Public Health Excellence Grant, and we were assured that would be taken care of. But when he got there, they did not have any record of him being there.
Okay.
So I'll sort that out tomorrow. I'll be in town tomorrow because I have Title V to do.
Okay.
To witness. And Richard is pretty much, I believe he's done. He may pop in once or twice more, but he, as far as doing any outside work, that's going to be up to Ned. Ned will be doing all that.
That'd be great. I'd love to thank him for all his years of service. I've not seen him for a while.
Yep. Okay, so you guys have any questions about the Board of Health stuff?
No, feel pretty good. I think I just guess where we're at on Fair Street. We're in a whole.
Oh, okay, yeah, right, on the PPA, my last communication with the proprietor of that place was in the middle of October,
Okay,
and I have not heard anything. I did go by yesterday to check it out,
yeah,
and it's still as is.
okay,
I see no activity, I've had no correspondence, I've had no communication with him or his family, and I really don't know what's going on.
all right. Well, that's,
You may have already done this,
That's-
Valerie, but if you wouldn't mind just writing a couple of paragraphs and for the
Sure.
the record and
Yep.
sending it to Christopher and Greg, that would be great. Just so.
Yep, I'll take care of that. Yep, just so you have it documented, that'd be fine. All right, okay.
thank you so much, Valerie. It's great. I'm glad you spoke up. I didn't see
Yeah,
you.
I'm sorry about that. Usually I'm looking for you, but I just didn't,
Didn't see it.
Well, yeah, well, I was a little bit late getting on. I didn't get on till like 6:30, and you guys were already full steam ahead with things I didn't want to interrupt.
No, anytime, if I thought, yeah.
yeah, thanks for helping us find that and getting them on board.
Yeah, you've been wonderful, Valerie. Just so grateful.
Okay.
You helped us so much. And
All right, so,
All right.
okay,
Okay.
and should there be a need, should he asked me if I would stick around. I don't need to go into the office, but
Yeah.
if he should go on vacation or something like that, or he's out sick, or you have an emergency, you can certainly call me.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, so I guess that's all I have.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Have a wonderful night. Look forward to talking to you soon.
Okay,
Okay.
you too, bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. All right, so we have the motion on the table.
Yep.
Second.
All those in favor?
Jordan McDaniel, aye.
Blake Gilmore, aye.
Tim Hilton, aye. Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good night.